continue with this. The racial makeup of the Moors. To the earlier Greeks, the Moors were a black or dark people known as the Moros, and to the Romans, the Mauras, a black woolly-haired people known synonymously as the Ethiops or Niger, which stands for Negro, and Afro, which was African. As late as the 5th century AD, Procopius, a Roman historian, called the people of Morocco black. So we have to go on because some people are going to say even though they were called black that they were still white. That's how ridiculous this nonsense is. In the Chancellor of Roland, which is Song of Roland, written after the Moors invaded France in 718 AD, the invaders are described in verses 145 and 146. These are all historical documents, by the way, by the people that know, as blacker than ink, with large noses and ears, and with nothing white except the teeth. Mauryan, Arthurian, Romance, number 4. Okay? The Chancellor of Roland states that the Moorish army was 50,000 strong and led by Marganes, Emperor of Ethiopia, not Europe, and Carthage. That was not Germany or any place in Europe. That was Ethiopia. The most valiant figure is Abisme, that is Abisian, who in verse 126 is described as black as melted pitch. In this epic, the Moors are called Saracens in English, Saracens, black as melted pitch. But then there's people who want to tell you they were white. And this evidence is still available today to the uninformed. In the official coat of arms of Aragon, I would suggest that you put that in Google and do a search so you can see the official coat of arms, of Aragon, which has 4 Moorish kings who were killed in battle by Pedro VIII, the king of Aragon, on November the 18th, 1096. All the Moors are shown as jet black. You can see it for yourself. Those were the 4 Moorish kings. Yes, there were non-blacks who participated in the Moorish invasion, and yes, there were mixed-race Moors who were involved in the Moorish invasion, but the Moors were primarily a predominantly black race, and the kings, the 4 Moorish kings, were all jet black. They were described historically as being black as melted pitch. Okay? Petro Taka, in his monument to Ferdinand I, erected at Leghorn in 1620, has 4 Moors in chains, which were modeled from originals, one of whom is instantly recognized as a Sol Negro. Pitch black Negro troops played an important part in the Moorish conquest of Spain, especially under Abderrahman I. In 1086, Yusuf bin Takfin, who is described by Moorish historian Ali ibn Allah as dark and woolly-haired. That's on page 304 if you want to do your own due diligence and research. And who was probably a Nigerian, brought in an army composed largely of pure Negroes. Another Moor, Yaqub el-Mansur, recorded as the son of a Negro woman, invaded Iberia in 1194 and made himself master of almost the whole of it. The guards of these Moorish kings were specially chosen for their size. Negroes, jet black and of immense strength, recruited from the Atlas, Timbuktu, and Nigeria. History of the Moorish Empire, that is on page 668, published in 1904. Go to a library, check it out for yourself. Now, here's where people get confused. Racial mixing between Moors and Iberians. There were white Moors. Yes, there were white Moors, especially because of their Berber ancestry and after they had lived in Europe for centuries and had been whitened by matings with Europeans. In other words, the black Moors who had these 100 virgins as tribute mated with them, and they had offspring. So their offsprings would be part white of mixed race. But the leaders of the Moorish invasion were primarily black.
magnetic compass.
Well, I think if someone was to properly look at the works of like all the great Greek historians, Hippocrates, Herodotus, they'll see the influence that Africa had on Europe as a whole throughout the period of ancient Greece. The ancient Egyptians used to have things called mystery schools or mystery systems, where they ran from Sudan all the way up into parts of Turkey, Ionia, places like that. And what used to happen there was people used to go and learn, or certain people, if they were lucky enough, used to go and learn a lot of the information, like the term, what the Egyptians used to have is the term neo. So a neo was known as a student, or a neophyte was known as a student, somebody who would go and learn, but they'd learn orally. So hence that's why Socrates never wrote anything down. I think a lot of people know the fact that the term know thyself is attributed a lot of the time to Socrates, but in actual fact, if you go to certain temples in Egypt and in parts of East Africa, you'll see the term inscribed, and it predates Socrates and any of those guys. So it goes to show you where he was getting taught. But for me, it's prevalent throughout a lot of Greek history how the ancient Greeks, how revered the Ethiops, which meant of the burnt face, how revered they actually were. And over periods of time, it's become kind of taboo to associate anything wise, knowledgeable, philosophical, intellectual with Africa, and that's what a lot of European historians and academics find hard to digest, is the fact that these guys, from Socrates to Plato to Aristotle to Herodotus to Hippocrates, all these guys, they were taught or influenced by the teachings of black Africans, ancient Egyptians. So I think one of the fundamental reasons why Europeans, in general, the European intelligentsia, scholars and academics, why they deny Africa their history, you know, from ancient Egypt all the way through to kind of the major empires from Mali and Kush and all those kind of things, is because of the fact that if you accept that these groups of people were responsible for your ascent into history, your ascent into what is known as civilization, then how the hell can you justify enslaving them? And that's part of the problem, is the fact that you've enslaved, you've tortured, you've committed innumerable acts of genocide on the same people that put you in the position that you are in, scientifically, philosophically, academically, and culturally, and linguistically, whichever way you kind of want to look at it.